Hello, hello. Hello, everyone. Joe here. What a time to be a live stream. Sorry, Twitch took a second to get you going. But we are currently live. Currently live on YouTube, Twitch, and DLive. Ooh, we're not quite there yet, are we? Let me get my ducks in a row, sorry. I got what I think will be an interesting one today. We were talking about, not too long ago, we were talking about seeing these threads. Well, let's start with yesterday with the 355 movie phenomenon of it only being the only movie playing come January 7th, which is tomorrow. Who knows if any of that was real? I certainly don't. That wasn't really the point of the video. It was the point was like, here guys, come along on this little crazy goose chase with me. Let's see where it leads. And we've been talking about this for the last couple streams. I've been homesick, so I've been streaming a lot more lately, which I appreciate. Those of you who are tuning in, whether live or after the fact, if you would be so kind, whatever platform you're on, hit that subscribe button. That would be very, very helpful. And you'll see some links to connect and support other ways, so thanks. But so we've been talking lately about these common threads, certain themes that seem to be appearing, for me at least, in various different scenarios and different formats, whether it be a conversation that I have with a buddy or something, and then all of a sudden it's in the news, or it's on a podcast, or podcasters across different genres that don't really seem to know each other, but they seem to be talking about similar things. And so, you know, it's a similar thread of where we were at with, well, okay, let's put it this way. One of the threads we were talking about was time accelerating, or time dilations, or this weird notion of time not being as rigid, or not being what we think it is, and or even just reality in general is not what we think it is. And another one is about how to communicate this to people that aren't seeing these sort of things. We've been talking about that with Tori. We've been talking about I've been mentioning Matt from Quantum, talking about stuff like that too. Although he's got a different approach to things, he's very apolitical. It's all just a flimsy reality. Well, you'll see. I don't want to give anything away, but I started my day with a clip in my subscriber feed from Matt from Quantum of Conscience on YouTube, and I'm going to play a little snippet of that right here out of the gate for you guys, and you'll see what I'm talking about and why I brought it up. So without further ado,
I started talking about politics to my mother and my stepfather.
Let me give you a little setup here. He's talking about how he went to his parents on Christmas Eve, and a very rare occurrence came up where he had a chance to speak his mind, which tends to not jive with most of his family. So I won't give, yeah, that should do it.
And I basically said in a mini presentation, it's remarkable to people like me that anyone can believe in this clown show, this sideshow, this three-ring circus anymore. How many buffoons need to be put up as president or prime minister or speaker of the house? How many low-life cretins, buffoons, degenerates need to be put up before you see that this is more like WWE, WWF wrestling? It's a presentation. It's a performance. It's a show. And there was no pushback. I mean, they don't want to agree with that, but they would, in the past, they would have normally engaged me. And I don't even know how I got even a chance to say that, because as I've said, and we've agreed many times, we're not out to wake anybody up anymore. But when that part of the conversation came up, maybe somebody had just come on television and it was relevant to what we're talking about. There was no pushback. So it's almost like I got a sense that they were sensing that, yeah, this presentation of politics, it couldn't possibly be real or legitimate or what it's presented to be. Just candidates vying for your votes. There's much more going on.
So, I mean, you know, he's not the kind, he's beyond the point of trying to wake people up. He did a whole rant on getting angry about seeing chemtrails the other day, how can people not see it's right in front of their face, and the whole thing was about how you just gotta laugh at it. Like it's trying to piss you off more importantly than if there's anything in those chemtrails or not. Reality or something is trying to piss you off and thereby, prevent you from seeing truth, I guess. So I'll let him continue for a little while longer. This dude's great.
And people are starting to sense that. And before I get into the premise of what this presentation is about, let's just start with this. I'm showing the movie or thumbnails from the movie Inception. And I don't even know if this scene is from Inception, but I think there was a movie somewhere that presented something like this. Either way, it doesn't matter. A guy is sitting at a bar, and it's similar to a theme in Shallow Hal. All these beautiful women keep coming up and talking to him. I'm just a regular guy, never had that much luck. And a guy sits down next to him. He says, "Sir," or maybe he knows him, Joe, you're dreaming, dude." And it seems completely real, of course. What do you mean I'm dreaming?
Sorry.
Like the levels in Inception. Nobody knew they were dreaming. They had to spin that little thing to see what level or plane of dream they were on, or if they were in the real world. And he said, Joe, 3 beautiful. Have you ever had any success, Joe, in your whole life with beautiful women?
I'm totally trying not to take this one. It's too much of a synchronicity. Joe, wake up, Joe. Sorry.
Women, and Joe was, "Well, no, I haven't." 3 beautiful women in 5 minutes just came over and basically threw themselves at you. Now, you can think all of a sudden your luck's changed, or you can understand you're dreaming. And at some point, maybe it would take 2 more beautiful women to come try to pick up Joe in a 10-minute span. But at some point, Joe's going to say, "Yeah, this isn't possible. I must be dreaming," or the reality itself would start to be questioned.
All right. So synchronicities, right? Following those signs, those synchronicities. Like Jeff Who Lives at Home. Any of y'all out there ever seen that movie? It's a great movie. Jason Segel is in it, and just about a guy who sees these signs everywhere in reality and follows them all around. So I thought that was relevant. That was, like he's saying, it's all about his whole mantra at this point, or his whole MO is to just see it. And then it's all about, he's a truther, but it's not about bringing anybody over to his way of viewing things. It's just, he does what he does. He sees it, he takes it in, and he puts it out, and then conversation ensues. But he's given up on trying to evangelize anything about what is reality or what is the truth. But as far as, so common themes go, I keep forgetting how I have to do this with the same browser. I tried to do it a little differently, but it wasn't working out so good here. Hold on one sec. We're going to switch over, and we're going to look for a common thread in yesterday's Tory Says. Oh, what happened to us? I've got a couple clips of this lined up that seem relevant. It seems like there's a larger theme happening across several different platforms. So, talking about waking people up.
So please, can you guys say that you're wide awake? I think the whole world is. And they're starting to realize that everything that was told to them, or everything I should say that was narrated to them, is now obsolete. They can see it. You can see it. Even the people that had succumbed to those narratives are now starting to see it.
Kind of like Matt's parents, maybe?
Times have changed. And tomorrow is Christmas Eve for
on the Orthodox calendar.
Many people around the world. And it seems that the more we get closer to understanding how they are bringing together their narratives, the more people are using discernment. Now, one thing that we know is that some truths hurt us and some falsehoods are comforting. And truth and disinformation sometimes is necessary. But the question that everyone should ask themselves is, should we always seek out truth for its own sake? I mean, there's a bunch of useless truths, such as, minnows in a bay in Yemen, let's just say. Useful falsehoods is a hard idea to actually dispel. And many psychologists would tell you that most people think they're 15% smarter or good looking or more successful than they actually are, because that keeps people from being depressed, right? And it's what we're seeing is the difference between perspectivism and perspectivism in respect to reality, and perspectivism as to relativism. That's something that Nietzsche would go to. Perspectivism leads to relativism, they say, because there's a breakdown in the metaphors there. So it's important that people think, what is so valuable about truth? I mean, everyone says, well, it's kind of obvious because it's true. Having knowledge and beliefs that are true, in fact, satisfy our own desires to confirm that we're doing the right thing. So why am I telling you this? There's a lot of people right now that believe falsehoods or narratives or whatever the TV is telling them, their friends, their governors, whatever it is, because it confirms a feeling that they have of insecurity and it fulfills them. Because truth actually makes people very, very uncomfortable.
So, thank you, Tori. We'll be coming back to Tori later. So remember we were talking about another episode of hers not too long ago about sifting flour of truth, or is it good? Is it necessary to, is it going to hurt this person, or So we've been touching on this. Granted, it was also Tori. But again, we were seeing the theme here is people who are ready to see and people who are maybe not, and how do we bring more into that frame of mind. And I caught a bit of this today. Actually, a good friend of mine, shout out Bri, sent me this, and I found a little clip of it. Well, again, it's throughout this video. I'm trying to find select clips that, first of all, I can get away with, and second of all, just kind of cut to the chase so we don't end up doing 2 hours for no reason. So let me play a snippet of this, and again, you'll sense the common themes running through them, even though they're talking about somewhat different things. I don't know how different Cliff and Tori are talking. I think they're talking about the same thing, but anywho, that's neither here nor there. Let's jump into this one.
And so I know, having been in the military for 17 years, that it is true that, no plan survives first contact with the enemy. So I think we're in, this is going to sound really goofy,
no,
but I think we're running the same playbook as George Soros. George Soros ran and paid for all those color revolutions, right? All over the planet, destroying everything, turning these countries into shitholes, trying to do it to Ukraine and all this kind of stuff. And he's trying to do it to Russia. And that's why Russia's pissed, and that's why they're putting their troops on the border with Ukraine. But what I think is going on is that our self-organizing collective of people here in the United States is using the same kind of playbook, the same sorts of mechanisms, because they work. They're social engineering mechanisms. Soros has perfected them. And we're doing a color revolution, only we're doing a tricolor revolution. Okay, so we're going for the red, white, and blue to have a revolution here that's going to put. So it's just beautiful. I mean, it is.
But you're not talking about, we're not running a revolution to where we have to have civil unrest in the streets and a civil war. We don't want that. I mean,
no, we don't.
We're trying to avoid that.
We don't have to be that stupid, right? We don't have. Right.
I love that statement from Cliff. We don't have to be that stupid. I love it, especially on this day, because we know how much reality is being distorted about what happened this time last year. Mind you, as well, from that previous Tory clip, the date said 21. That was intentional. She did that yesterday. Just so you know, she did a daytime stream because she's on the road. But I love that statement from Cliff. Let's let him continue.
Right. They're going to do that because we're doing it against them. That's their only. So We're dealing with people that are essentially sociopaths and psychopaths. Okay.
Right. Agreed.
And that is, they're sort of like bullies. All right. So they're not very smart. They have a few tricks. They're clever and manipulative. But when it comes to fighting, they don't know how to fight really. Okay. So they only have these manipulative, sneaky, underhanded kind of tricks. And so if you're aware of their tricks and you don't fall for them in a fight, they essentially always lose.
Okay. So this is coming down. Cliff keeps saying the word they, them, they. Maybe those are his pronouns. But some of the people out there that might be watching this have no idea what the hell he's talking about. And that's coming down to this whole, what are we seeing? Is the steep date exist? That's that's some hobo code right there for you. Is there a they? Is there a big they that's trying to do something to all of us? I would say unequivocally the answer is yes. So that to me is the truth, that there is a they. How many people are prepared to acknowledge that there's a they? And is there a critical mass that needs to for us to stop what their intent might be?
Because they are so limited. And that's what we're dealing with. There's just a lot of them, and they've been able to squirrel their way into power, and they're manipulating our system against us. But as people wake up, they get to the point where they say, okay, I understand we've got a corrupted legal system. Okay. And so I will take different tracks in trying to get my goal through that legal system. One thing being that, the legal system is captured, but you can still overwhelm their system, use their system against them, because it's basically our system.
Now, where have we heard ideas like that before?
So if thousands, and wouldn't even take that, if hundreds of people in any given state all decided to do pro se lawsuits.
Hold up. I'm pretty sure Cliff and Tori know who each other are.
For theirself, no attorneys, because that gives you an entirely different view of the legal system. And it draws so much more resources your way you wouldn't believe. But if you were to file legal suits and you had 100 people all filing on the same subject against the same people, not a class action, just.
Wow, didn't we just do that?
100 individual ones, you're going to draw attorneys for one that will then create class actions, but you're going to just drown the legal system of that county and then ultimately that state, and it will collapse. But they can't allow it to collapse, so they will accede to your wishes, even though it is a corrupted court and that judge is corrupt. He will be told to do the stand-up thing. And so just as we see that they tried to totally shut down the Ghislaine Maxwell thing, but they ended up with the guilty verdict because they had to assuage the people's knowledge that she was indeed guilty.
Epstein didn't call himself.
They've got to get that out there. And then they're trying to cover it all up like mad, right? So this is the kind of thing that we're dealing with, is people that are bullies. If you stand up to them, you find that they don't have a whole lot of swings in their repertoire, right? They only have, they're a one-trick pony, really. So that's what we've got to deal with. But the problem is, at this moment, is that most people on the planet don't know that we're at war.
Most people on the planet don't know that we're at war against them. They, right? So I have to skip ahead here because of some of the terms he uses in the next couple seconds, but we were going to get to more of this. Let me see here. That should be just about enough right there. Okay, so most people don't know we're at war with them. So again, we're talking about quote unquote waking people up, reaching people, trying to get them to see this truth that we see. Same concept. So in this next segment, he kind of breaks down why that's happening, why it requires our tricolor revolution, our red, white, and blue revolution. And it's not a physical violent war. It's just an acknowledgement of the information war that is upon us, where it began, how it started, the fact that it's truly going on. And this is some insight as to why most people aren't yet awake, or it's a symptom of the fact.
Okay, so I understand. So it's an issue of proportion. Okay, so when Pearl Harbor was attacked, we get this kind of emotional thing, right? So this is 1941, and this is the attack on Hawaii and Midway and the Philippines and all of that. In one short day, it started sweeping across the United States from the west to the east coast. By the end of 24 hours later, 30% of the population had heard of it in the United States. 2 days later, it was 40% and so on, because we didn't have instant communications the way we do now. But it took like only a couple of weeks, and we had been attacked. It is as though everybody had been punched into the face. Okay, more people have died from this attack by the CCP than died in that attack. And what do we have for emotions relative to the war?
So that's one of the things Cliff does, is he has these sociological, I guess you could call it. I don't know. Don't get me wrong. I'm not as well versed in Cliff High as I'd like to be. By the way, this is from David Nino Rodriguez. His channel, which I didn't even know existed until today. He's a famous boxer who kind of got red pilled through the lockdown and started making these videos, and now he's a full-time truther, and I love it. He's a signal of someone who got awoken, so to speak. But I'm gonna let Cliff finish this out real quick.
That's it. In 2020 for COVID, we got no response, no emotional response to the fact that we had been attacked.
Jeez.
Deliberately. And you see my point, right? Nobody in our population. So in like a couple of weeks, everybody in the US in 1941 was getting ready for war. There were literally old farts out here on the West Coast getting out their World War.
But we also.
Okay, so you see that skipping in the video was Cliff, but he made two signifiers of the emotional resonance of the population, like how many people were. Pearl Harbor happened, and the country became, unified around a cause. Is we've just been attacked, and World War II ensued. So I think the concept in this context from these two guys talking today, or whenever this occurred, it was dropped, I believe, in the January 4th, a couple days ago. This was dropped. They're saying like that's a reason why people, sorry, I lost my train of thought when I wanted to look up the date. I think you're getting it though. I think you're getting it. So there's this common thread running through all these different sources of, waking up, and then how do we gently and lovingly express the truth to those who don't see it, and are they getting ready? Is it happening? Is an awakening occurring? Because if a person like Matt can have a decent Christmas and get listened to, I can certainly relate to that happening. Not the case in my life. And who knows, I might have been off course half the time, but I was just excited about whatever I was learning about that year. And a signifier of how much of our history might have been stolen from us, actually. And not just, that doesn't apply to any one culture. It applies to the whole of humanity. But we're going to jump back to Tori here. Let me see if I can find my time code here. It's a little bit later in yesterday's show. Yeah, here we are. Twitch skips ahead. I tried to clip these out and make clips, but it was tricky, and I wanted to do this. I kind of just got to stay in the flow when I make these, because either that or I just can't do them live, and I can edit, and everything will be nicey. But I'm I don't know, I'm not much of a planner. I'm more of an improv kind of guy. So let's see here. A couple more clicks. There we go. All right, let's listen to Tori now and see if we're sensing any common threads. Again, that being waking up and uncomfortable truths.
And it's very important for people to understand that I believe, which was something out of our control. I was of the fact that less pain is better, but sometimes there's something called free will. You can't just change people's minds with information, because there's a perceived reality that some people have, and then there's an actual.
So kind of like, I'll let her go on.
And
sorry.
that goes back to time. If you
Okay, before she jumps back down the rabbit hole with the time stuff, because there's another common thread though that I mentioned earlier. That was the thing I mentioned a couple days back, or whenever a couple streams back, when I was talking about the idea of time being fluid and not necessarily linear or whatever. This notion that we're kind of all sensing this acceleration or perceiving time differently and not the normal way that comes with age. But before she gets off, before we take it off in a slightly different direction, again, we were talking back a while ago about, that sifting of truth and how to present it like in a way that's not going to harm. But now it's like, it seems like that is the trouble with truth is you can't tell somebody the truth. You have to show them, right? And there's that emotional resonance that Cliff was talking about. That's the problem, is that people can't see it because no one's feeling it. No one realizes we've been attacked. No one's realized we're under attack or in this information / spiritual war. Or maybe they're one and the same. That's just not common thought, and that is by design.
You guys remember weeks ago, I said it kind of feels like October. And last week I was like, oh, I guess it's November now. Time isn't linear, but your calendars have been changed. In a few days, I think in a week and a half, it'll be the year 2776.
I love.
Very
don't know what that means, but I love it.
Very interesting time, because there was a conversation yesterday we had over dinner where it was just brought up randomly. Oh, the sun is in Sagittarius right now. That's weird because it's January.
Do you guys think Tori misspeaks on purpose or by accident? Because I misspeak by accident. Usually I'm slurring a little too. But she just said Sagittarius, which would be a mashup of two different zodiac signs, right? Anybody who looks at the sky, though, anybody catching any stuff like that lately? Any anomalies that don't seem quite right?
Kind of sounds like November. And last night, when my lawyers and I finished our meetings, for various things. And we sat on the balcony and kind of just, obviously so that I could get a cigarette in, right? But we sat on the balcony and I said, doesn't the moon look weird today? So the moon was a crescent moon. It's a clear night. You could see the Dipper, Orion's belt, planets, Persei, and stars almost flickering in water. And
triggered by the splat turf. I just got triggered, Seth, if you're watching. I got triggered by the splat turf.
I said, isn't it strange that the moon has like this thick black outline and you could see the part of the moon that's not supposed to show because it's a crescent moon is a light gray, and then it's bright on the crescent. And it's like, at that point, we had a discussion that I don't really want to talk about now, but I can say that I clearly said, oops, I guess we just hopped a timeline.
What?
And then we go out to dinner 2 hours later, and where's the moon? It was gone. And I know that a lot of people at the same time were looking up because, like I said, people don't look up anymore.
Well, the movie just told me not to.
They're too busy looking down. And people were talking.
But wait a minute. All those celebrities on Netflix just told me not to look up. That was weird.
On Telegram about how the moon disappeared. They were like, I just saw the moon and it's gone and there's no clouds. So I don't know if you guys saw it yourselves last night, but it was pretty interesting because the stars, since the beginning of written time, were used as a map, not just of time, but a map, literally. And suddenly those maps don't align. I mean, that would really suck to be an astronomer. It's really weird. And I know a lot of you saw it too, that you're like, oh, look, crescent moon. And it's so, bright and shit. And 2 days ago, the Earth was closest to the sun that it'll ever be in the whole year. And it's like, it's January. What?
We did just talk about that, and I've been saying that for years. And I brought that up a couple streams back about how I remember being a kid, and it was always snowing on Christmas, and sometimes it would snow on Halloween, and now it just never does. If the winter even seems to come, it's never a typical Syracuse winter. I mean, or maybe it's like a cycle where we get these insane blizzards, and then nothing. The most mild season. Some of the most mild winters I've seen have been in the last 10 years. It's crazy. And we set records for snowfall and cold up here in upstate central New York. Shout out to my CNY group. Sorry I couldn't be with y'all in Albany yesterday. I hope everyone got there and back safe and did their best to spread some truth. I'm gonna finish this out with Tori. Let's keep going, and you'll sense the threads. And then there's just some things she said. I like these informal ones from Tori. When we don't usually get to see her face, but she seems to always drop some. I mean, whatever. She's on fire lately. Come on now.
Kind of sounds like, in the fall, it's really warm. In the winter, it's kind of cold. And then in January, end of January, February, it ramps up and it's like snow and shit and super cold. And the summer's like mild, right? And then it gets really hot at the end of it. And you're like, what's going on? Usually in July, we're dying. And now it's like a hot August or a hot September. It's almost as if someone's not updating the clocks.
See, I like seeing her face. You can get more from the presentation. Someone's not updating the clocks.
Just saying. I mean, this year did go by really, really fast. Kind of warp speed. Just saying. So, it didn't even get snowy in, even last year, it wasn't that snowy in Ohio until February. So,
are the seasons getting shorter, perhaps, maybe?
And I'm regretting that I came to Florida with no bathing suit, because apparently the hotel that I'm at has a smashing pool, and there's a lot of people on vacation here from other countries who are not allowed to leave their countries without COVID vaccines. It's so weird. It's like a lot of people from different nations ascended into Palm Beach.
Ascended into Palm Beach. Very, very interesting. I'm going to mark her that, because I have no clue what she means, but I got a feeling she'll tell us soon.
All leaving on the 7th. So weird, so weird.
I'm going to skip ahead a little more. I don't know why. Maybe something she said. I noted that I have to skip. It could be she says something that'll get me booted from the tube. Where are we? All right. Where are we here now?
Even
okay, I see. It doesn't update.
But apparently, we're not going to find any senator or congressman or anything to fix 2020.
Oh, it was about I have this trouble with my erection last year.
Except, if we will it. Now, the states that we have, obviously we have Arizona, and that's going ahead and things are happening. I'm going to see if I can get out to Arizona for the rally. I'm going to really try. But Wisconsin, you have local people there motivated. Maybe all of us from all states can start to put pressure on the local government in Wisconsin, for example, and Pennsylvania and Michigan and Georgia to force them to decertify. There's a lot of us, and we can actually get that done.
There's a lot of us individuals that are putting things in the courts, like Cliff was mentioning earlier.
Because right now, everything that's happening in the courts is because of you. I, myself, I'm going to go through a lot of pain this year. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that because this Dominion suit, obviously they recycle and they hack the part of me that hurts the most. But I'm going to do my best to drag the truth into the light, even if they take my limbs as I go.
I'm going to let her finish this diatribe without interruption. But let me promise y'all, some of you are going to really love what's coming next. Some of you are going to be shocked, and some of you are not going to know what the hell any of it's about. Stay tuned.
And it's going to be a doozy, but we're going to get it done. No matter what anyone says. I mean, HuffPo and Media Matters and Dominion were mocking the Kraken. I'm the fucking Kraken, right? I didn't talk about the Hugo Chavez stuff, but I said, I will release the Kraken. I am the fucking Kraken. I said that shit before the elections when I told you that the media is going to tell you who wins. I told you because they planned this. They planned it so well. It was identical to what they did in 2014. Not here, somewhere else. And you paid for it.
I thought you guys might enjoy that. All right. So common threads throughout. I mean, you guys are getting it. You guys are getting it, I think. Feel free to let me know in the comments if I suck and I'm full of shit or what. But that's that's just my day to day. That's the stuff that I remembered and recalled and stuff that came across my way. Some of them was current, some of them was whatever the case. I just like the 355 movie. It just happened. It just happened, and I followed. I just like Jeff from Stays at Home. I followed the signs and jumped around until I found something. Sometimes that's a dead end. It's like writing a song. Some of the best songwriters try to write every day, knowing full well they're not gonna write a great song every day. But it's the idea of the routine of it and getting into that mundane practice of just doing it, trying to do it. Not necessarily being attached to one outcome, but because then the magic spark will hit. By making it routine, you almost you can avoid the disappointment when you don't. If you sit down and you're like, I'm going to sit down and write a song today, and you don't, then you feel disappointment. But if you just say every day, I wake up, I feed the kids, get them off to school, and then, or whatever, send them off to the neighbor who teaches them now, and I'm just going to sit down and do my thing. And then sometimes magic comes out, and sometimes, okay, no big deal. There was nothing today. No big deal. Because I'm on that path, the long-term path of it all. And I'll get there. Eventually you find a song that works. And you don't get overly attached emotionally to the outcome because you're searching for truth every day. Or, you're searching for a song to go with the metaphor. But that's what I'm equating it with, is searching for truth, Like sometimes you just follow seeming signs, coincidences perhaps, or synchronicities, and it's nothing. It's just maybe your mind's playing tricks on you. Maybe you're just not able to see it yet. Whatever the case, there's no need to be down. You're just gonna do it again anyways, and it will bear fruit. I do believe the universe works that way. I do believe in law of attraction. I believe in synchronicity, Jungian stuff, for instance. So let's see if we're in the right spot here.
But this is secret administrative subpoenas went up.
It seems like I can only jump
I feel
when
like
it's playing.
since
Sorry,
it
hold on.
But
Okay, well, I'm not going to tie. I'm not going to try to keep tying this to the synchronicities went. I just, this one's a shout out for the New York group, Patriots group on Telly, and the CNY group too, and all and my Telegram channel as well. But we're all New Yorkers, so it's really reassuring when Tori starts talking about stuff like this.
We come down. I mean, and I would tell them, take me to criminal court. You're saying this shit, take me to criminal court. They wouldn't do it. So when I'm going to be dragged through the mud, I have to be strong on this one. Because this is it. This is where we come down. I mean, I'm going to drag Dominion by the nose out. But the people are the one that are going to have to take it home. So we're going to have to work hard. We've got two missions. One, to make those states decertify on a local level. And two, we need to save New York, guys. What the hell? Chicago and California. Chicago, I'm just talking like Chicago owns Illinois, basically, right? But we need to save New York because New York was the epicenter of death. Remember, they had Governor Cuomo with an Emmy. Everyone around the world was watching him.
Cuomo got an Emmy almost as if it's all a show, like the WWE. I mean, he does.
As people were dying, he was sending people to, nursing care facilities with body bags.
Moment of silence. Okay.
We need to save New York. But how do you do it? They're going to put out all these things like, we're going to arrest you if you're not vaccinated. We're going to do this. There's a way that we're going to take back New York. And I'm working on that right now. And we're all going to fix it. Because like someone really smart that I admire said, and I added, this is the part I added, to save the world, we have to save America. And they said, to save America, we have to save New York.
I agree. But the problem is New York is New York City to the world. And it's almost like if they want to make New York City into one of those globalist cities, I know that this isn't a good choice, but I know that there's a sentiment in upstate. Fucking let them. We don't need it. They can bargain for our food when we're no longer attached to them. And similar ideas like, our voices. This is upstate is red, and I happen to. We know how elections work, so apparently, the Q's is a little blue speck, and apparently Rochester is a slightly larger blue speck, and Buffalo, I don't think it's as blue either. I don't think any of those towns are as blue as they proclaim, but they're necessary to keep the state in line, right? As long as those particular communities are controlled, then they can keep the rest of the state at bay. But aren't we like a good half of the population of the state? If you separate from Westchester down, pretty sure we're close enough, especially nowadays. Mass exodus. But I like it when Tori talks about us. But I know that's New York City is a high value asset, and I wish I could play what she says next. I highly recommend you guys checking out this entire show. It's very well, she crushes it as always, but there's a lot about New York State in there that I'm afraid to put on YouTube. I'm afraid to stream anywhere, really. I don't know. Maybe that's stupid, but I seem to be gathering a little bit of momentum here, and I don't want to screw it up quite yet. I'm not trying to abandon the playing field, the battlefield, so to speak. But let's see if I can skip ahead and get this right for one last Tory clip, and then we'll call it. Try to keep it right around an hour.
Well, image 13. You're going to see nations that we visited before together said that they were empty and their place of origin were China and were taken across the border from Canada, but actually had gas coming in from Canada. It's really.
Now, again, some sensitive topics here. I'm trying to find the right clip. I think I might have time-stamped this one wrong. But she is kind of talking about something similar to Cliff. Again, if you watch all these, and I know some of you that are watching this will probably have watched all of these, and you're seeing the same thing I am. You're seeing the common threads. But let me, no, I should have it right. There's a lot going on. Strange happenings.
Really weird. I don't know why I thought it would be important to restate this. I'm pretty sure that I have, but I'm just restating it anyway.
Restating it.
Now, before I go, because I have to get ready, I'm going to be meeting a lot of people that are in Florida today. Millie and Gavin are coming too, so that's going to be fun. Yeah, I did mention it. Thank you. But I felt like I had to mention it again for some reason. We have a lot going on in our nation at the moment. We have elections that were stolen, and it's not the first time. They've been stolen for the past 2 decades. We have the same players involved in that election theft. We have strange happenings in regards to time. I mean, like I said, this is a year of recompense. You put out bad, you're going to get a ton of bad back. You put out good, you'll get a ton of good back. You're going to hear rumors of wars. You're even going to be told that there are wars when they're not. You're going to see nations that we visited before together uprise. You're going to see things come to the surface, and you're not going to be able to make ends of it. You're going to be like, what's going on here? Like, this is crazy town. Kind of like how the IRS is now asking you to declare any illegal income. So now what? MS-13 and El Chapo's will be saying, well, I sold 2 kilos of Coke, so I'm declaring that shit. Think about it. They really did say that. Wait, hold on. There's a fact or fiction thing. Give me a second. You need to see this report.
I'm going to jump ahead because there's an important part of all this, and it ties back into, plus there's who knows with copyright with this content. All right. You're going to see why this ties back to what Cliff was saying too. Not just because the pro se ideas about us individuals, those of us in the groups, we already know. And Cliff High is telling David Nino Rodriguez that sort of thing because that truth is spreading. It is. Back where we started with the first Tory clip, like, people are waking up. We're not at the World War II Pearl Harbor level, but it's happening. People who haven't questioned the narrative, and it, I guess there's a good character to being a quote unquote sheep. I'm torn if we should use that pejorative so much, but there's too much truth to it to let go of it. But it does hurt people to call them sheep. Does it not? I mean, of course it does, right? No one wants to think that they're blind or being, well, no, I'm sorry. I can't say that. No one. No, some people do. Some people just want to put their head down and just do right by society, and they don't realize that society has architects, or, I mean, in a perfect age, throughout the history we are taught, we like to think that humanity has organized and accomplished all these great things, as well as, made mistakes and atrocities. But how many invisible hands have been a part of this all from day one? Is that the they? If there is a they, are they good? I don't think so. So the they we were talking about is inherently a bad they. But the truth of it all, I think, in distilled down to its basic, is there a they? Is there a they there, out there? And with the state of the world being so bizarre compared to what we used to call normal, something has to be going on. We know some dude didn't eat a bat in a soup somewhere. We know that, right? We're all there at least, right? All right, let's see if I can find this last Tory clip because it's important. It's the first I've ever heard her speaking of stuff like this. And I like it. I don't know why I can't seem to get the time codes to update on Twitch very well, so I'm just going to do this. We're going to do this raw and dirty real quick. Let's get us there. One more minute. There we go. Oh, hold on. She said laws.
We have our own people's union.
There we go. There we go. There we go. That's worth repeating. Okay, now it's updating. Perfect. There we go. Listen.
Who was sponsoring the 102nd Commie Party? They even have their unions. Now, unions have a lot of standing. People pay into unions because they want a retirement, right? But also, when you have a union, they'll go to court for you. So, if that person...
Remember Cliff talking about us going to the courts as individuals and not as class actions? But that if we go in as individuals... Do you guys remember how when SCOTUS was approached by Sidney Powell and Giuliani, we were told there was no standing. And some of us got real blackpilled. Some doomer shit came out, right? Because we're like, well, it's over. Guess it's over. Well, maybe it was just one step in a process. Trust the process. That's what they say in art class, right?
Wants to fund lawsuits. Why not we have our own people's union? I think, because that's not nonprofit, I think the minute we create our own union, we have standing on everything. And we could pay $1, $10 a year, whatever we can afford. That shit goes into a fucking fund. And we have a union called the Organization Regarding Everything. And
stop. Hear that and figure it out. The Organization Regarding Everything. I'm not going to say it. Pretty sure you guys can figure it out.
And then every single member of us will be freaking asked, hey, these are the lawsuits we want to pursue. Which one do you think is priority? I think our first one should be Fix 2020. What do you think? Because as a union, we have standing. And this union is the Organization Regarding Everything. That means we will sue the shit out of the government as the people, right? With full fucking unfettered standing. So that is coming very soon. So once the people set it up, I think the chapters or whatever will have one in each state from the Tory Says group.
Oh, right? we already have those.
Boom. We have our own union.
Boom. Boom, baby.
You're unionized. I am a citizen that is unionized. We're going to play on their court. If we can't fight the courts, individuals as sovereign citizens,
which we tried with the pro se lawsuits, as Cliff mentioned,
then we'll come in as a fucking union and we will tear that shit up. We have standing in every state because we'll have a chapter in every state, and our members will, I'll pay dues, I'll pay whatever, and then spontaneous and add to it, no retirement. Just defend me legally, because there are unions that do just that. And that's it. We will tear them to shreds. It's not a generalized, we can sit down, and this way the lawyers are paid to just work for us all the time. And we can have all our lawsuits set up. And one of them could be, let's get the fuck rid of the IRS. I mean, thinking
Yes.
about it, how many tax dollars were spent through the COVID bill?
Are you guys ready to join this union or what?
For rigging the elections. I don't think someone asked us for that. Did you get asked if you want to pay to rig the elections?
She's not talking about the U.S. elections, of course, everyone. Just to clarify, she's talking about 2014.
Did they ask you to give money to Pakistan to help their LGBTQ community? Because in Pakistan, they throw gays off the roof. What? Did we give them money to build higher buildings to toss them off faster? Nobody asked us. And as the union of the people of the United States, we kindly decline and disagree. So if you don't want to hear us represented by an attorney, then maybe if we're unionized, you will. And
Yeah, I'm feeling that. On this day, a year later, where we supposedly, you know what they say about this day. Meanwhile, this is the reality. The lawsuits have already started a while ago. And here we are. Here we all are. So, I don't think I got much more. If I'll check the chat real quick, see if anyone's, we're good. We're clear. Please jump in there anytime if you're watching and you have anything to contribute, because it's definitely, it seems like the energy even, it grows when there's a conversation. So hit that chat. I'm willing to set up Google Meets with anyone who wants to come on, or a phone number to call in if you don't want to be reveal your face or whatever, or if you have something to promote and it doesn't suck. But I think I'm going to leave you guys with that. We're coming in right around an hour, and I thank you for tuning in. Just a reminder, please hit that subscribe on whatever platform so you can be notified when I do this. I'm trying to develop a schedule, but I know if I do, some days I just won't be good at it, and other days I'll have inspiration, but I won't be scheduled to do one. And I feel like everything's moving so quickly. It's important, especially with my workflow. Like I said, it's always more improv, and I don't have the time to script everything. Or even today, that was about 4 hours of research just to find those clips, even though I had already watched most of them, and I could probably refine the process if I was doing this daily or something. But for now, we're just all doing it our own way, and whatever we can bring to the table to help tell the truth about whoever they are, I guess. So on that note, I'm going to leave y'all be. Again, thank you for watching. I love you guys.